Welcome to The Explainer. What if I told you that the secret to totally transforming your life has nothing to do with making massive, earth-shattering changes? What if it's actually about making adjustments so small, so tiny, that you'd barely even notice them? Well, that's the powerful idea behind Atomic Habits by James Clear, a book that shows us how these little, everyday actions can compound into something truly remarkable. But to really, truly understand the power of this idea, you have to know the story behind it. And it's a story that doesn't start in some fancy lab or think tank. It starts with a catastrophic injury that forced the author, James Clear, to completely rebuild his life from the ground up, one tiny habit at a time. So it all began on what should have been a pretty normal day. It was the last day of his sophomore year in high school, and James Clear was on a baseball field when, in a single, terrifying moment, his entire life was changed forever. During practice, a teammate took a swing, lost his grip, and the baseball bat went flying through the air, hitting Clear square between the eyes. The impact was just devastating. It crushed his nose, caused multiple skull fractures, and shattered both of his eye sockets. His brain started swelling almost immediately. He remembers a classmate literally giving him the shirt off his back to try and stop the bleeding. But when the school nurse started asking him basic questions, like what year is it or who's the president, his answers were years out of date. His body was shutting down. He had seizures, he stopped breathing on his own, and he was rushed to the hospital and put into a medically induced coma. His parents were told it was one of the worst nights of their lives. The recovery was just grueling. We're talking months of dealing with vision problems and just relearning basic things like how to walk in a straight line. His dream of playing professional baseball, well, that seemed completely gone. But the real turning point wasn't some big, dramatic movie moment. It came quietly, a couple of years later, when he arrived at Denison University for college. This was a fresh start, and it's where he first discovered the incredible power of tiny, almost invisible habits. So while all his dorm mates are diving into the chaos of college life, staying up late, partying, Clear started focusing on creating order. And he started super small. Things like just going to bed early every single night and keeping his dorm room neat and tidy. Now, these don't sound like life-altering decisions, right? But what they did was give him a sense of control that his injury had completely stolen from him. And from that small foundation, he started to build. He began lifting weights again. He completely overhauled his study habits and started getting straight A's. He was literally rebuilding himself, one small win at a time. And it was this personal journey, this slow climb back, that led him to the central idea of the book, the almost magical compounding power of these tiny incremental improvements. So for just a second, let's forget about massive, revolutionary change. Instead, just ask yourself this. What would happen if you got just 1% better every single day? I mean, it doesn't sound like much, does it? On any given day, it's barely noticeable. You won't really see the difference between writing one sentence or writing nothing. You won't feel the difference between doing 5 push-ups and doing 0. But that is exactly where we get it wrong. Because that 1% improvement, it doesn't just add up. It compounds. It multiplies. Over the course of a single year, getting just 1% better each day means you end up almost 38 times better than when you started. That's staggering to think about. And of course, the opposite is also true. Getting 1% worse each day brings you almost all the way down to 0. Small habits are truly the compound interest of self-improvement. Now, this explains why so many of us give up on our new habits, because the results are not immediate. Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential. You know this feeling. It's that frustrating phase where you're putting in the work, You're going to the gym, you're studying that new language, but you just don't see any real results. Think of it like an ice cube in a room that's 25 degrees. You raise the temperature to 26, 27, all the way to 31, and nothing seems to happen. But all that energy is being stored up. And then that 1 degree shift from 31 to 32, and bam, a massive change is unleashed. It's such a powerful reminder that the most amazing outcomes are often delayed. Okay, so if these small daily actions are the key, how do we make them happen? Well, this brings us to a really crucial shift in thinking. You have to stop focusing on the finish line. It's not about the goals you set. It is all about the systems you build. I mean, think about it. Winners and losers often have the exact same goals. Every single Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every person applying for a job wants to get it. The goal isn't what separates them. The difference is the system of daily practices they follow. Goals give you direction, but systems are what actually make the progress. See, a goals first way of thinking actually creates a lot of problems. For one, it restricts your happiness. It's like you're telling yourself, I'll finally be happy when I lose 20 pounds. It also creates this yo-yo effect. What happens after you run the marathon or finish the big project? The motivation just disappears. But when you learn to fall in love with the process, with the system itself, you can feel successful anytime your system is running. As Clear famously says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. But here's the thing, there's a level that's even deeper than your systems. If you want change to really truly last, it can't just be about what you do. It has to become about who you are. And this, for me, is the most profound idea in the entire book. True behavior change is identity change. So imagine 3 layers of change. On the outside, you have your outcomes, the results. In the middle, you have your processes, the habits. But at the very core, you have your identity, your beliefs about yourself. Most of us try to change from the outside in. We start with the result we want, like, I want to lose weight. But the most effective way to change is from the inside out. Don't start with what you want to achieve, start with who you wish to become. This is such a powerful way to reframe things. The goal isn't just to write a book, it's to become a writer. The goal isn't to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. You see the difference? When your habits are tangled up with your identity, you're not just chasing a result anymore. You are simply acting in a way that aligns with the person you believe you are. And here's the kicker. Every single action you take is like a vote for the type of person you want to become. So the process becomes remarkably simple, though not necessarily easy. Step 1, decide the type of person you want to be. Do you want to be a healthy person, a consistent creator, a patient parent? And step 2, prove it to yourself with small, consistent wins. Every time you go for a walk, you cast a vote for I'm a healthy person. Every time you write just 1 page, you cast a vote for I am a writer. Okay, so we've nailed down the why. It's all about building a new identity. So now let's get into the practical how. How do we actually build these small identity-based habits into our daily lives? Well, Claire breaks it down for us. He argues that every single habit we have, from brushing our teeth to endlessly checking our phones, follows the exact same neurological feedback loop in our brains. It's a simple 4-step pattern that runs all of our automatic behaviors. Here's how it works. First, there's a cue, the trigger. Let's say it's your phone buzzing on the table. That cue then leads to a craving, not for the phone itself, but for the relief of knowing what that notification is about. That craving then motivates a response. You pick up the phone and you check it. And finally, that response delivers a reward. Your curiosity is satisfied.
And that reward is what tells your brain, hey, this whole loop was useful. Let's remember it for next time.
Once you see this four-step loop, you start seeing it absolutely everywhere. It's constantly running in the background, driving both your good habits and your bad ones. But the great news is, this gives us a clear set of levers to pull. To build a good habit, we just have to make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. And to break a bad habit, well, you just flip those on their head. Ultimately, your life right now is just the sum of all your habits. You literally are what you repeatedly do. The small choices you make every single day, they aren't just one-off actions. They are votes. They are casting a ballot for the person you are in the process of becoming. So the only real question left is the one on this slide. What small 1% votes will you cast for your ideal identity today?